Welcome, welcome. Friends, this is a special moment. It's definitely special for me. This is the first time in the history of knowledge that we are having an entire track dedicated just to HR. How great is that? And the credit goes to you. Many of you, over the years, have shown us how the ServiceNow platform can very easily be adapted to meet HR's unique needs. And hundreds of customers later, here we are. I'm super proud to be part of this historic journey with you. We call you HR Lightspeed Pioneers. So HR Lightspeed Pioneers, thank you for guiding us through the years. Thank you. So today I want to talk about service experiences. Let's start with looking at consumer service experiences and what makes for a great consumer service experience. Well, we looked at dozens of consumer service experiences from our daily lives, and what we recognized is that there are three traits that distinguished the great consumer experiences from the not-so-great ones. The first thing that these experiences do is they provide choices. So as an example, when you order a Lyft, you can choose whether you want to share that ride, you want a standard version of the car, or you want the luxury edition, depending on how much it's going to cost you and how long it's going to take for your ride to get there. The second thing that these experiences do is they provide step-by-step guidance, hiding all of the underlying process complexity. So for those of you who filed your tax returns last month here in the US, many of you may have used Intuit's TurboTax. And TurboTax really does a nice job of providing that step-by-step guidance throughout that tax filing process. The third thing, perhaps the most important, oftentimes you're probably going to need high-touch help, that high-touch support, and the ability to actually interact with a real person. So as an example, if you've ever used Airbnb, you can contact the host and interact with them directly there within the app in context and ask them anything from clarifications about the booking to things to do in the area. So there you go, choices, guidance, help. This is what makes for a great consumer service experience. And if this is what we've come to experience in our daily lives as consumers, what do you think happens when we show up at work? Well, let's play this out. I'm going to introduce you to Gail. And Gail works in sales, and she just got married. So she's got a lot going on in her head. She's wondering, should she change her last name? She's thinking about how best to get herself and her spouse covered with benefits. So should she be on her spouse's plan, or should her spouse be on her plan? And there's probably a bunch of other stuff that she doesn't even know about. So what does she decide to do? She goes to her HR system. But wait, which HR system? There's not one of them. It's not uncommon for even a regional organization with 3,000 employees or less to end up with 4 to 5 different HR systems for everything from core HR, benefits, payroll, recruiting, talent management, you name it. And it gets only more complex with larger global organizations. Let's say, in this case, she goes to her core HR system. So she logs in, and very quickly, she recognizes that these systems do great at things like record keeping, managing talent programs like performance reviews, goals, succession planning, learning and development, or supporting specialist functions like recruiting and sourcing. But based on her consumer experiences, what is she looking for? She wants information so she can make the right choices. She's looking for step-by-step guidance, and she's looking for that ability to interact with HR when she needs that high-touch help. Well, at this point, she's confused. She doesn't know what to do. But there's always a way out, and it's called email. So she sends an email to HR. And who in HR? Well, this is just someone that she worked with the previous week. Someone, let's say, that helped her post a job requisition. Well, that person doesn't know anything about name changes or benefits. So you know how this story is going to play out. Gail has now set into motion a series of email forwards and back and forths. And all of this is making HR extremely inefficient. In fact, we've got research that shows that HR is actually spending 2/3 of their time, 2/3, just dealing with this type of tactical support with employee inquiries. That's a staggering number. So HR is not really happy about this. That's not what they were brought in to do. They're supposed to be providing strategic support to the business. And what about Gail? Well, she's frustrated. So how can Gail's experiences be more like those consumer service experiences that we just reviewed? Well, with ServiceNow's HR system of action, they can be. And let me show you how. In order to do so, I'm actually going to ask product manager on my team, Samantha Barth, to join me here on stage. Please welcome Samantha Barth.
Hello, Deepak.
All right, Samantha. So how can we help Gail? Why don't we start with showing everyone how she can get that information so she can make the right choices as it relates to this life event?
Gail just got back from a great honeymoon, and she's ready to get back to work. But she has to do a few things to change her employment information based on being married. And the difference is Gail is not working in HR. She's a sales leader, so she doesn't necessarily know where to begin. Where do you go when you first have an issue, when you have a question?
Well, I simply Google it.
I do too, and Gail's going to do the same thing. So if we could please bring up the demo. There it is. Gail reaches her lovely branded employee service center. She's able to just simply type in the words newly married. That's what she is. It's the question she has, and the system guides her. A couple of easy matches come up. Just got married is what she chooses, and it brings her to this knowledge base article. Gail has a lot of information here. There's some links. There's some answers to questions she might have. Let me call your attention to the box at the bottom of the screen. What we're seeing there is pricing information that Gail can use to decide, should she add her spouse to her benefits plan? Should she maybe drop her own benefits and get a better cost on her spouse's plan? And this is going to help Gail to make selections in the next step. So once she's ready, she just clicks here, and the system will now take her through a little bit of question to help her decide what she needs to do. Gail is actually going to choose to take her spouse's name. Not everyone does, but she is going to, so she makes that selection first. And then Gail is also interested in adding her spouse to her benefits based on what she just reviewed on the knowledge base article. Her plan has some great rates. So once she makes these selections, then the system will know exactly where she needs to go.
Yeah, this is just like that example with Lyft. She got information from our knowledge base, and now she's decided to make a few choices. So now she's going to get that step-by-step guidance. Let's look at that.
Once she hits submit, you'll notice that she is brought to a couple of to-do items and tasks. And these tasks correlate exactly with the selections that Gail made just a moment ago. As she's working through her to-do items, she's able to do things very simply from her point of view. And there might be additional things happening behind the scenes that she doesn't even have to think about. Where she lives or works, what her benefits plan eligibility is, those things could affect the personalized experience that Gail is having, but she doesn't have to think about it. Take this name change. If you change your name, lots of other systems need to know that. IT is going to need to know, payroll is going to need to know, but Gail just has to change it once. And once she does, all those other systems are going to be seamlessly updated. Moreover, as she goes in to complete her benefits information, in this case, Gail's employer actually outsources benefits. So she's brought to a link that will take her to that third-party provider so she can get any additional information she needs and complete her benefits changes.
Yeah, step-by-step guidance, just like Intuit's TurboTax. Mm-hmm. So here, if Gail has a question for HR, what is she going to do? Why don't we show everyone?
We can do better than email. Gail's here. She's ready to complete the task. Should she really have to go hunt someone down, hope it's the right person, wait a couple days to get a response? Right within her Employee Service Center, she can ask her question immediately. And because she's in that single platform, ServiceNow knows the expert she needs. She can engage Suzette directly within the application, and if it happens to be when Suzette is online and working, then she can get an answer in real time, and less than a minute later, she has everything she needs to complete her task.
Yeah, in HR, not everything can be solved just with technology. At some point, you are going to need that high touch, right? We call it high touch when it matters. And so this is a great example, just like Airbnb, where you can contact that host. Perfect. So is that it?
That's it. Wasn't that easy?
What do you think? All right. Samantha, I know you'll be back for more demos.
Thanks.
Thank you. So that's an example of a great consumerized service experience. She got choices. She got step-by-step guidance. She had inline help. Now, what we saw is an example of a life event that was associated with what you might call fairly simple HR service. So Gail had a series of tasks that she was assigned, and she just completed them one by one. Not all life events are associated with such simple service. In fact, many of them require action from multiple parties over an extended period of time, an action in a specific sequence. So let me illustrate this with an example. So here's Tim. Tim was just hired by Gail. So Tim is joining this organization as a sales rep. And so he comes on board, and he's going through his onboarding process. And guess what? 2 weeks into the job, there are still things that he needs. For starters, his paycheck is still getting mailed to him, so his direct deposit is not set up. As a sales rep, he really needs access to those CRM systems so he can do his job, and those are not set up as well. And he's sitting far away from the rest of his team, so he's feeling pretty left alone and not able to collaborate with them. So clearly, as you can see, Tim here needs things, and those things have to come not just from HR, but from other departments, IT, facilities, finance. Anybody been here before? Yeah, see a lot of nodding heads. That's great. So what do you think Tim's experience would be? Tim is obviously frustrated. And Tim is thinking, well, why could my experiences not be like what I experience outside in the consumer world? So if you think about this, the payroll department could have just asked him for his bank account information and set up that direct deposit pre-day one. IT knew he was in sales, so they could have set him up with the right access to the right systems pre-day one. Gail, his manager, could have made sure that the facilities team put him right next to his colleagues and done that pre-day one. So how can we help Tim? How can his experiences be like those consumer service experiences? Well, they can. With ServiceNow's HR system of action, in Jakarta, you can help give employees like Tim that onboarding experience they deserve. So friends, I'm extremely proud and delighted to announce the upcoming availability of the newest application in our HR product line, Enterprise Onboarding and Transitions. Now, this is truly a multi-purpose next-gen solution. So let me explain. What do I mean by multi-purpose? This is not just about onboarding, but this is applicable to all sorts of life events, all sorts of transitions, like offboarding and transfers, and all of those complex life events like extended leave of absence. Why is this revolutionary? Well, for starters, this is built on our service management foundation. Case and knowledge management is at the heart of that. So what does that mean? That means that someone like Tim gets that consumerized service experience. As they go through the process, they get information so they can make the right choices. They get step-by-step guidance. And they are able to interact directly with HR when they get stuck in the process. So we all know what happens today when new hires get stuck in the process. They go back to email. And that's what we want to avoid. Because the system of action is applicable across all departments in the enterprise, we can help drive action well beyond just HR. Now, if you're already using an HCM or a recruiting systems-based solution for onboarding, that's fine. Our solution can seamlessly integrate with all of those and really extend that process into these other departments as well. And finally, I'm sure as HR folks here in the audience, you'll appreciate this, we can help you put together these processes and experiences literally in minutes with no technical expertise required. So I'm super delighted and excited to show you what this experience looks like. In order to do so, let's bring back Samantha.
Hello again.
All right, one more demo. There you go.
Thank you.
So how can we help Tim?
Yes, so Tim is also going to go to the Employee Service Center. Let's bring up the demo, please. Just like Gail, he starts in this beautiful branded experience, but because Tim is in that stage of pre-employment, the content is really quite different. In particular, we're going to be tailoring this to Tim's information based on maybe his location, the job he was hired for. In this case, we'll see start date is actually going to determine which new hire orientation Tim is invited to attend. So the content is personal and relevant to Tim, and he's already going to start feeling engaged in both the work and the culture. As he scrolls through, he does a lot more than just fill out his new hire paperwork. This instance, he's seeing some upcoming events that are happening at his new company, and maybe he's curious to check out where he can go to get fit.
You know, Samantha, these types of communications are typically sent out by HR and really all the other departments via email. And email tends to be not targeted, it's not personalized, it's perhaps not engaging either. And ultimately, they all end up getting lost in email inboxes. And so what we are able to do here is by putting all of this in the Employee Service Center, we are really giving HR and employee communications departments with an effective way of managing these types of communications, and that is only going to make the employment brand all that much more powerful.
Absolutely. But before Tim can go to yoga class, he does have to do some new hire paperwork, so let's take care of that next. Tim can see at a glance all the things that are waiting on him, his to-dos, things he's already completed. That red dot I'm seeing down at the bottom tells Tim that something is late. So like most people, he's going to click in, find out a little bit more, and once he does, he can see that he needs to take care of that drug screen. So Tim, you're going to have to do that pretty soon here, but in the meantime, let's help Tim finish up a few more pieces of his new hire paperwork. I'm going to start with the direct deposit. What's really cool about this is that Tim actually is engaging with a service that already existed in the Employee Service Center. Any employee at his company might need to set up direct deposit, but because we're in that single platform, we can just serve it up in the onboarding process, and Tim can start this before he begins. As he goes through, we see a couple of knowledge-based articles. So Tim's going to get some nice coaching and information that helps him with what's relevant policy or procedure. And by the time that Tim starts working, his direct deposit will already be working. So he won't have to wait through several weeks of paper checks. Now, the next thing Tim needs to do is his non-disclosure agreement. As we look at the non-disclosure agreement, you'll notice he's viewing this on his phone, but he can see the whole document. And the information that ServiceNow already knew about Tim is filled out for him in advance. What's great about that is that it's really making it easy for Tim, so it's a very quick process. And when he's ready, he can go ahead and sign the document. But I don't know about you, when I sign a legal document, I often ask a question or two first. Just like Gail, he can do that right within the Employee Service Center. And again, in this case, he's sending a question to HR, but because we're in that single platform, if HR doesn't have the answer, they can actually engage someone from the legal team or any other department to get Tim what he needs.
Yeah, great example of an end-to-end consumerized service experience. So he had access to the knowledge base, so he had information to make choices. Obviously, the to-dos are giving him step-by-step guidance. And I really like this last example because this is inline help when he needs it. And that help is coming not just from HR, but from a department outside of HR, in this case, the legal department. So Samantha, I'm super excited about what you're about to show next, which is how do IT and facilities fit into this process?
Absolutely. This new onboarding solution is going to help stakeholders across the company, not just the new hire. So we're coming back to the Employee Service Center as Gail once more, but now we're looking at it from the point of view as Tim's manager. Gail is the sales leader, and Tim is going to be joining her team. So again, she's coming to her Employee Service Center, but because she's both a current employee and she's a people leader, her content is going to be quite a bit different than Tim's. Now, she can see all the things that are going on with Tim's onboarding process at a glance. And what's great about this is it's going to allow her to know that Tim is having a great employment experience, but as she sees things that are in progress or underway, she'll also be able to make certain that they're ready for him on his first day. He'll be able to add value to the team a lot sooner.
Yeah, complete status visibility right here at her fingertips. So again, from Gail's perspective, no more sending emails to HR and IT and other departments to figure out where this onboarding process is.
Absolutely. Now, another nice thing is Gail can actually take care of some of these to-do items while she's waiting for her next meeting to start. And because this company is using ServiceNow's IT service management solution, we can put the order guide right into the onboarding solution. So Gail can actually go ahead and order Tim's computer equipment, his phone, and if we wanted to, we could have this be the new hire or some other person in the company. It doesn't have to be the manager. In this case, it's Gail. And then we also can take advantage of IT orchestration. So this is really powerful. The solution is going to take information it knows about Tim and help Gail guide through what selecting what accounts he might need. So in this case, because he's joining the sales team, they're going to assume he probably needs CRM, and that choice has actually been pre-selected for her.
Yeah, imagine the productivity for someone like Tim. He shows up, he's got his laptop. That laptop is actually installed with all the required software, and he has access to all of the systems that he needs to be productive and ready to go on day one.
Absolutely. So the last thing I need to show you is actually my favorite. It's very cool. They're also using the ServiceNow facility solution. And when Gail is ready to choose a workspace for Tim, she again comes back to the Employee Service Center. She's got a to-do item, and the system is serving her up a map of the office space where her team sits. She can go right to the second floor of the office building where they're working. I think of it like Google Earth, but for cubicles. And Gail will click to select Tim's desk. She now created a facilities request that will put everything else in motion, all in a single platform.
Great. So we've addressed Tim's direct deposit issue that he had. So hopefully his paychecks are not going to get mailed to him anymore. He's got access to those CRM systems, so that's great. And he's now sitting right next to his colleagues, so he can start to work with them and collaborate with them. What a fantastic demo. Thank you, Samantha. Ladies and gentlemen, please give it up for Samantha.
Thank you.
So what we saw is how we can help provide that consumerized service experience, and how you can drive action not just within HR, but in all departments beyond HR as well. Now, the secret sauce behind what we built really is how you can snap these processes together literally in minutes, like I said before. In order to learn more about that, we've actually put together several sessions at this conference to get deeper into this meaty topic. And I encourage all of you to attend as many of them as possible. At this time, I also want to give a shout out to the design partners who helped us in this process. So design partners are customers that we work with very closely, and these are customers who have provided us feedback, given us guidance, and told us how this solution should look, behave, and what their expectations are. And this would not have been possible without our design partners. So design partners, thank you for your feedback. Now, speaking of customers, customer success has always been the lifeblood of ServiceNow from the beginning. In fact, it's one of our core founding principles. And today, I'm extremely delighted to introduce to you a longtime HR customer that really had a vision of consumerizing that service experience as it relates to the process of new hire onboarding. Not coincidentally, their name is Envision Healthcare. But first, let's watch a video that features their success story.
This is a tale of two businesses. Like most businesses, their employees are key to their success. Sometimes they need to bring more people on board, fast. And this is where these two businesses do things very differently. One is using technology to make the job of filling jobs, well, a lot less work. The other still does things the old way. We're helping bring new hires on board faster and easier than ever. New job offers are accepted with just a click, instead of printing, mailing, and waiting. Administrative and financial documents are seamlessly submitted, instead of eating up the entire first day. Clearances and IDs are quickly processed, not stalled. And when it's time to suit up, new hires are ready, not waiting. If questions do come up, answers are right at employees' fingertips. We've leveraged technology to create a world-class experience. Come join our team.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome HR Lightspeed Pioneer and Director of HR Shared Services at Envision Healthcare, Carly Bush.
Hi. Thank you. How exciting to see my video.
It is. And I hope all of you caught her picture downstairs in the pavilion.
Great.
So, you've been here last year as well.
Yes.
What do you think about the conference so far?
Oh, I think it's just so exciting to see the focus on HR. Last year I was here, and the year before some of my team members were here, and historically it's always been about IT, which is great, but of course all the people in this room hopefully are interested in HR, and to see ServiceNow going down that track is really exciting.
Great. So you've been an HR Lightspeed Pioneer, as we call you, for a while now. Take us back in time a little bit and talk to us about why did you decide to reimagine that experience as it relates to new hire onboarding?
Basically, we were looking for a solution to really make a more consumerized experience for our employees. Too much paperwork, a lot of time taken on the first few days of employment that really kept them from being productive when they're sitting there doing paperwork and trying to fill out how to do their direct deposit, things like that. So we really wanted to make it easier, a much more user-friendly experience. And then secondly, we wanted to free up our HR people that were stuck doing all that paperwork so that they could really focus on more important HR issues and not be stuck in that grind.
Yeah, so two drivers. You want to make HR efficient, but more importantly, or maybe equally importantly, you want to make that experience for the new hire as great as possible. Okay, so you've decided to jump into this initiative, and walk us through how you planned for that change, and how did you bring everyone on the same page?
Sure, it's a lot of work. I'll tell you, if you had this 4 years ago, out-of-the-box solution, we would have been in a much easier position. Because many of the things that you've showed today, we implemented, but it took a lot of work. We actually hired an external partner and a consultant to help us go through, build the workflows, get everything ready, but it was very customized. So although we have many of these items that you've shown, it took us quite a bit of time to get there through customization, but it was worth it. We have a great product now.
Yeah. So what was the prep work? What were the teams that were involved in this planning process?
Lots of teams, lots of collaboration between IT, HR. We really tried to include a lot of our HR folks that were out in the field, if you will, because if we planned everything and didn't include them, there could have been a lot of fear of that change. So really tried to be transparent, bring those people along with us to join us in that change and in that communication. And of course, buy-in from the top. You have to have the support of the top leaders in the company to help roll out that change.
Yeah, both from HR as well as IT.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay, so as you look to the future, obviously, you love what we have to offer. But let's say the folks here in the audience want to jump in and get on board this onboarding initiative, no pun intended. How would you, as a Lightspeed Pioneer, advise them to start putting together what you might call a business case with metrics for both HR productivity as well as the employee satisfaction, what are some of the things that they need to be thinking about as they put together that business case?
I think really looking at it through the eyes of the employee. If we could go back and do things differently, we probably would have spent a little bit more time doing that. Instead of having a lot of department heads where everyone thought they knew what the answers were, it's really important to get input from the employees and from the folks that will be using this system. Get their input and help them, take some of those ideas when you move forward and really include them along the way. And then to really have a structured communication campaign that you roll out, because when you just, if you just roll this out without really giving people a heads up and letting them know it's coming, it can be difficult. So the onboarding, that part's easy because it's a new hire and they don't know anything different. But then you've got your existing employees that may all of a sudden have access to a portal where before they took a paper form to their HR person for their direct deposit, and now they're going to do it on their own. So you really want to help them along the way.
Okay, so there's the qualitative aspects of the change that you have to think about. What about the quantitative aspects? Do you have any numbers that you're measuring?
We can honestly say that our transactions, and what I consider a transaction is really data entry into the HRIS for the most part. Entering a new hire, entering a direct deposit, entering a W-4. Those transactions have reduced by 50%, which is
50%.
Fabulous.
Whoa. How about that?
Yeah, thank you. That frees up your HR people. And when your HR people can reduce some of those transactions, be more productive, be more innovative, of course, that hits the bottom line. So go HR.
Go HR. Do you measure employee satisfaction and how that has changed over time?
We do. We try to measure our new hires. I think it's 60 days, and again at 120 days, and they seem pretty pleased with the process.
Good. And they're staying with you longer as employees.
They are.
Beautiful. All right, Carly, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, please give it up for Carly Bush.
Thanks.
Thank you. Wow, what a great success story. Let's switch gears a little bit and talk about what's next for HR service delivery. So when we think about innovation is, to me, uncovering new and previously unimagined ways of delivering value using great technology. In this conference, in this dedicated HR track, we have over 20 such Lightspeed pioneers sharing their stories. I encourage you to attend all of them, catch as many of them as you can, go meet them, talk to them, listen to their stories, network with them, and most of all, have fun. And while you're out there doing that, I'll leave you with this. Your employees not only expect, but they deserve that consumerized service experience. So go have a great rest of the conference, and I'll see you out there. Thank you.